Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So on this video today I'm just going to give you a bit more additional information in regards to Paul Pogba, and there's lots of other things to currently talk about. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So reportedly Manchester United will demand up to around £179 million for Paul Pogba in January. So we want around £179 million if Paul Pogba is to leave the football club in January. But I did say, for the majority of the summer, I did say, reflecting on the huge price tag, we put on Paul Pogba. This was the stumbling block of Paul Pogba leaving the football club, because I did say, we quoted out that we wanted around £180 million, throughout the course of the summer. Recently, Paul Pogba's brother revealed that, Paul Pogba has spoken to Barcelona's Lionel Messi, because we do know that it wasn't only Real Madrid that were linked to Paul Pogba throughout the course of the summer. It was also Barcelona, that of course were linked with Paul Pogba. We do know that Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, I think has recently been in negotiations with the football club, regarding Paul Pogba's future, and also of the possibility of renewing Paul Pogba's contract at Manchester United, because we do know Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract, on his current contract on Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. And of course Paul Pogba, I think, is the highest paid player in the football club. He's on around 290 grand a week, so he's on just under 300 grand a week at the football club. Obviously I do believe that Paul Pogba's plans for the future, is still to make a move to Real Madrid. Now, recent reports did say that Paul Pogba stayed at Manchester United this summer after reportedly Adidas had intervened his transfer to Real Madrid. So reportedly Adidas played a big part in Paul Pogba remaining at the football club this summer. Reportedly Adidas anyway wanted Paul Pogba to remain at Manchester United, because they're thinking it's better for them commercially. But I did say Real Madrid throughout the course of the summer were not willing to pay up to the £180 million for Paul Pogba. Obviously Real Madrid spent a substantial amount, throughout the course of the summer. They spent it, was it 300 or over £300 million on 5 players. Real Madrid did sell some of the players, so I think they generated some of the money back. I think they must have generated around £100 million of it back. But Paul Pogba confirmed early on in the summer that he did want to leave Manchester United. He did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he actually publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club, because he wanted to leave basically to rejuvenate his career. But I still believe that Paul Pogba wants out of Manchester United. But Paul Pogba said earlier on this summer that he did classify Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he did say at some point in his career he does want to play for Real Madrid, so could leave the football club in January if our £179 million valuation is met. Whether Real Madrid are willing to pay this in January or not, I do not know, because obviously they've already spent a substantial amount this summer. But I think Real Madrid are still orchestrating spending big on players, even though they already have. I think they're orchestrating on getting more players into their football club. But Zinedine Zidane actually will be infuriated that I didn't land Paul Pogba throughout the course of summer, because Zinedine Zidane identified Paul Pogba as his number one target. He identified him as his number one target, so he will be infuriated in that aspect. But also Real Madrid had Christian Eriksen on their agenda, don't forget. But obviously Real Madrid's first choice preference was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen, even though probably Christian Eriksen would have been a cheaper solution for Real Madrid. So if Paul Pogba is to renew his contract at Manchester United, I think Real Madrid have got an alternative, and I think they're going to go in for Christian Eriksen next summer when his current contract term expires, because Christian Eriksen has just got under a year left on his contract with Tottenham. But I think, reflecting on Paul Pogba's performances, so far this season, I don't think he's been too bad. He's started all 4 of our Premier League games as Paul Pogba. His performance was quite average against Southampton, wasn't that good. I don't think Paul Pogba's performed to the same sort of extent as how, Martial and Daniel James that's performed, but I think he's performed pretty okay. Don't forget, Paul Pogba missed a penalty earlier on in the season against Wolves, and obviously, reflecting on his penalty miss, Paul Pogba was subjected to online racial abuse earlier on in the season, but I'll credit Paul Pogba in that aspect. I think, he handled the situation, quite well. But throughout the course of summer, Paul Pogba was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he basically confirmed at the start of pre-season, he said that, his client was in the process of leaving the football club. This is what, Paul Pogba's agent had said. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows deep down, how much of an imperative player that Paul Pogba is. We do know the difference, he does make in that midfield. Don't forget earlier on in the summer, there was talks about him possibly, making a return back to Turin, because he did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, did Pogba, but hasn't mainly replicated this at Manchester United, since he rejoined back in 2016. Now Pogba is into his 4th season at Manchester United, but we have seen glimpses of how good, Paul Pogba can be. He's done okay this season. He did really, really well throughout pre-season. Obviously, his stats were very impressive last season. He made 47 appearances in all competitions last season, scored 16 goals and provided 11 assists. So when Paul Pogba's at his best, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. He can score goals, he can provide. Like I said, you mainly see the best of him, when he's freed up, and that Pogba. But yeah, we have seen him at his best as a Manchester United player. But Solskjaer's spoken a lot to Paul Pogba throughout pre-season. He also spoken a lot about Paul Pogba, and praised Paul Pogba, because Solskjaer knows deep down how much of an imperative player he is. But I did say the couple of main factor reasons, why he does want to leave the football club, because maybe Pogba is frustrated with the lack of competitiveness. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football and that. And I did say in that aspect, with us failing to qualify for the Champions League, it went against us in the summer transfer window, recommending all the number 1 targets, that wanted to get into the football club. And I did say, without Champions League football, it's also going to be hard, to convince imperative players to stay at the football club. So in that aspect, it's obviously gone against it. It's good that, we have convinced Paul Pogba, to remain at the football club, but could go in January. If he doesn't go in January, I do believe, he will go next summer. But like I said, Paul Pogba's 26 years of age. He's basically still in his prime, and, he has still got a lot of years ahead of him, as you all know. And now, obviously, it hasn't only been this summer, though, that Paul Pogba's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Don't forget, last summer, Paul Pogba, was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, because he did have a poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, did Paul Pogba. And, Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes when Jose Mourinho departed the football club. But I think there was talks about him going back to Juventus last year. But like I said, in the past, Barcelona have been linked with Pogba. But maybe another reason why Pogba wants to leave, because maybe he wants to be playing him on better players, and he feels as though he isn't playing him on good enough players at Manchester United and that. But reportedly, it's confirmed that, we will demand up to around £179 million for Paul Pogba in January. And, if we was to get that for him, that would be, really, really good. We'd make him a huge profit on the player. We'd be demanding almost double, than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. Because don't forget, we paid £8 to £9 million for him. He is our most expensive signing. And if we did get £179 million from him in January, with that money we do generate, we could probably buy 2, 3, maybe even 4 players there with that money. But Paul Pogba is a very imperative player. Some fans want him to stay at the football club. Some fans, want him to leave the football club. But we do know when he's on form, the difference he does make in that midfield, where Pogba. But I think if he is to leave in January, he will end up, making the move to Real Madrid, because that's his first choice preference in that. But like I did say, we've endured very, very difficult start to the season. We've only registered 5 points from possible 12. So we've only won 1, we've drawn 2, and of course we have lost 1. And so far this season he's replicating what I saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. We failed to qualify for the Champions League. We've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons since Alex Ferguson's retirement. So I said this season it's very, very imperative that we do get qualification into the Champions League, because we need Champions League football. When you've got Champions League football, you've got more of a chance of being competitive in transfer windows and that. And obviously prior to this summer transfer window, in the recent windows, we haven't been competitive enough. We didn't get anyone in January. Reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number 1 targets. And obviously throughout the course of the summer, Solskjaer had spoken about our recruitment policy and analysing it. It isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need time as Manchester United manager. Even though we've had a bad start to this season, we had a bad couple of months at the end of last season. But I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need time, because you can still do quite frankly say he's in the process of rebuilding. So maybe Solskjaer, needs a couple of windows, to make more investment. Solskjaer did recommend, 3 good, players into the football club, throughout the course of the summer. We spent over £140 million, obviously on Daniel James, who we paid £15 million for, which risen up to £18 million with the add-ons. Obviously, we paid around £50 million for Wan-Bissaka, and we paid around £80 million for Harry Maguire in that. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings, they've proven to be so far. So I am delighted, that we did address, some of the problematic areas in the squad. So I'm glad we got that experienced centre half in. I'm also glad we got that right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But I did say it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window, because don't forget, this has been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. Now, I did initially say that, in the January transfer window, more investment is definitely needed. I said this to you yesterday. I think, in January, we'll want to recommend a couple of players in, because I think we need at least a couple of more signings. We need to get a midfielder in January, because that's one of the priority areas, where Manchester United need to strengthen up. And we didn't get a midfielder in, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, as well, for the majority of the summer, don't forget, we was in search for a right winger, so you can still see the deficiencies and that in the squad. But like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has got to exceed expectations at Manchester United. If he is to remain at the football club. I did say at the start of the season, my expectations this season, will obviously, to finish in that top 4, perhaps maybe win some silverware, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations. We have got big ambitions for the future. Obviously, we want to get back to winning silverware and that and competing, and this is obviously, something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality back to the club, that fear factor. I know there's a lot of people that have got huge doubts saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will bring that fear factor back to the football club, because we know that fear factor, hasn't been there, since the Alex Ferguson era. But with the dimension, with the history of this football club, we should be up there competing, and of course winning silverware and that. And we haven't managed to do this in the last 6 or 7 years. And reflecting on the amount of money we've spent in the last 6 years, since the Alex Ferguson era, we should be up there competing. So it just proves that always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players, doesn't always guarantee you success. And it's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But it's not that so far this season, we've played particularly badly. We just, we haven't been clinical enough in front of goal, and that was one of the problems last season. This is why last season, we didn't score enough goals. We only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season. But we need to be more clinical in front of goal. We need to be more clinical. And as Gary Neville was recently saying, he says Man United, he thinks we're playing under the right way. He thinks we're on the right track. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think the style of play, and that is right. But we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal. And Manchester United definitely need to justify that. We've only managed 7 goals so far this season in 4 games. We've already conceded 4 goals. So it's basically, just replicating, last season. I did say at the start of pre-season, didn't I? After pre-season, I said I think Man United are going to have a better season this season, because, we won 6 games out of 6 throughout pre-season. We scored 12 goals and only conceded 3. And then we got off to a remarkable start, in the Premier League with a 4-0 victory over Chelsea. And in that particular game, was clinical, and that's why we won the game 4-0. And then, since then, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong. We dropped 2 points away at Wolves. Our away record, hasn't recently been good anywhere. Obviously, we dropped all 3 points at home to Crystal Palace, and obviously, we dropped 2 points against Southampton the other week and that. So obviously, it's just not good enough at the moment. So for me, the performances need to improve, and we need to get better results. If we want to get in that top 4 this season, that's very, very imperative indeed. But analysing our squad, I do believe it's definitely good enough for a top 4 finish. It's not good enough yet, to win the league. I don't think we'll win the league for at least the next 2 to 3 years, maybe even longer. But the squad's not good enough yet, to challenge for the league or win the league. Don't forget, we haven't won the league now for over 6 years. The last time we won the league obviously was back in 2013 in Alex Ferguson's last season. And you can quite frankly say in that particular season, Robin Van Persie had won his the league. Obviously reflecting on the amount of goals and that he scored. But like I did say, I hope it can work out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and like he did say, as I do keep saying, we're not really known for the sacking club. We haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. I know 3 managers have already been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era, because obviously we've had different managers with different sort of philosophies. But Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era, and I think a lot of Man United fans have been criticising Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics. I think tactically sometimes he gets it right. Tactically sometimes he gets it wrong, does Solskjaer. But the question is, has he got the stature, to get us in that commanding position? That he's sort of trying different sort of formulas. He's on Gunnar Solskjaer. He's working out, what's his best 11. I think, like I said, this season, I think on a regular basis, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will go with that 4-2-3-1 formation, and I think he'll use different formations, but I think on a regular basis this season he will go with that 4-2-3-1 and that. And don't forget, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in the aspect, that he's got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players, because I thought the young players that played throughout pre-season, were fruition, and I did say I believe that the young players, will become fruition this season. But they will get their chances. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently said in regards to Mason Greenwood and Chon, he's sure, they'll get more opportunities this season. Obviously with Mason Greenwood, obviously he only made his full debut for Man United last season, the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff on the last game of last season, and he's only 17 years of age. Mason Greenwood scored 30 goals in 29 games for the club last season, for the under-18s, the under-19s and the under-21s, and I think Solskjaer's considering giving him a prominent role anywhere at the football club, because I think Solskjaer's recently become infuriated with Rashford's recent performances. So actually in the game against Leicester this weekend, Rashford could be dropped, reflecting on his bad performance he put out against Southampton, because Rashford's performance was really, really bad against Southampton. Obviously, he was fulfilling Anthony Martial's role. He was playing in that central position. In that central position, in that particular game, Rashford looked so isolated. His finishing was poor. He didn't really latch onto any of them crosses. So he did get a lot of criticism, based on his poor performance. But I still say, Rashford is a long-term solution for Man United. He's only 21 years of age. I don't even know his preferred position. I know he's comparable to Martial in the aspects that, with the position, because obviously, Rashford can play centrally and out wide. Martial can play centrally, can play out wide. But it got confirmed at the start of the season anyway that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 role. But Martial and Rashford have both played in that number 9 role so far this season. So I think now Mason Greenwood, needs to get more opportunities. And Solskjaer assured at the start of the season that Mason Greenwood, will get more opportunities, because Greenwood was good throughout pre-season. And in regards to Chong, obviously in regards to Chong, it recently said he was in negotiations with the football club over a new contract. Chong is only 19 years of age. Obviously, made his competitive debut last season in the 2-0 victory against Reading in the FA Cup. Obviously made his Premier League debut in the 3-2 win against Southampton last season, and made his Champions League debut in the 3-1 win over PSG, did Chong. So he's had a bit of experience, of playing in the first team and that. But I think, Solskjaer has urge Chong, to work hard, to gain them first team opportunities at the football club throughout the course of the summer, or was it recently? Solskjaer, Chong, had received loan offers from PSV and his former club Feyenoord, but Chong had turned down these loan offers, and he wants to remain loyal to the football club. So I think Chong wants to commit his long-term future in Manchester United. Chong I think this is now his 4th season at the football club, all in all. Obviously, he arrived from Feyenoord back in 2016. And so far, Chong has only managed 4 first team appearances, but he is right winner, is Chong. Solskjaer, I think, does not believe, we are short of options now in that attacking line, despite the fact, that Lukaku has left the football club, also Sanchez has left the football club and that. And some people are saying, it's a mistake why we've let Alexis Sanchez go, because some people believe now we're lacking in that attacking third of the pitch. But like I said, we have got quite a lot of young upcoming players in the squad. Obviously, Angel Gomez, he did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. I'm surprised, he wasn't involved in the game against Southampton, Angel Gomez. But he should, get given his chance this season. He's obviously, another one of our midfield options is Angel Gomez. Because despite the fact that under Herrera and Marion Fellaini left, we have still got quite a few midfielders in the team. Don't know if they're reliable enough, as I do keep saying. Paul Pogba is obviously, the only reliable one at the moment in that midfield. This is why I did say we need to strengthen that midfield up in January. But we've got Angel Gomez as one of our midfielders. I think Jimmy Garner's a midfielder. Obviously McTominay, Fred and Pereira as well. They're our other midfielders. So we have still got quite a few midfielders in the team. With Alex Tuanzebe, it did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. Is Alex Tuanzebe. Obviously, Alex Tuanzebe, was on loan with Aston Villa last season, and I think it was good in that aspect because he's gained more experience. And I think I know his centre back is Alex Tuanzebe, despite the fact that Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre backs. I still believe Alex Tuanzebe, should get given the opportunity. Obviously, Diego Dalot, he should also get given his chances. So, like I said, there is a lot of young players in the squad. But despite the fact, we've had a difficult start to the season, I still think, these are quite a few players, that have performed quite well. The vast majority of them, have actually, underperformed. I think Daniel James has had a fantastic start to his Man United career, so I will credit him on that aspect. And he's done really, really well. He's taken a huge step in his career, coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League. But I think he's had a fantastic start to his Man United career so far this season already. He's netted 3 goals, and he's quite reliable. He's Daniel James. His versatility is good, can play on each flank. I think can also play as an attacking midfield, but I think mainly so far this season we've put Daniel James on that right. Well, we've started him on that right hand side with Wan-Bissaka. Some people believe that actually, Wan-Bissaka has been our most consistent signing so far, because Wan-Bissaka has been absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. He's only 21 years of age. His distribution's good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. He's actually a right back, is Wan-Bissaka, but actually, when he was a lot younger, he actually was primarily a right winger. But as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. But so far this season, with Man United, Wan-Bissaka is replicating, what he did last season, with Crystal Palace. Because don't forget, Wan-Bissaka only made his senior debut, back in February 2018. Don't forget that. But we do know that he's our first choice right back. We do know that he's our that Wan-Bissaka is our first choice right back, and I think he has been absolutely phenomenal. Within regards to Harry Maguire, I think he's done okay as Harry Maguire. I think he's addressed our defensive deficiencies, but I do believe Harry Maguire will succeed as a Manchester United player. And I think, Martial's had a good start to the season as well. Martial's had a really, really good start to the season before he picked up his injury. Like I said at the start of the season, Martial has been given that number 9 shirt, which is very, very good, because he does seem to be more effective in that central position, does Anthony Martial. Obviously, 23 years of age, developing well, still hasn't quite, emulated to that level. Martial's now is in his 5th season as a Manchester United player. Is in his 5th season as a Manchester United player, is Anthony Martial. Obviously, don't forget the club gave him a 5-year contract back in January, so he's under contract with the football club until 2024. He's on a substantial amount, is Anthony Martial. I think he's on around, £200,000 a week, or is it over now? I think it's over £200,000 a week he's on. But yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal for Man United. This season he's had a great start, and I think so far this season he's replicating, what he did in his first season with the club, because obviously we got Anthony Martial as a 19-year-old, and obviously, he did well his debut season. I think he scored 17 goals, scored on his debut against Liverpool, so he did really, really well, did Anthony Martial in his debut season. This was obviously back under the Louis van Gaal Moreira. Don't forget the football club paid around £36 million for Anthony Martial. Obviously, potentially rising up to £57 or £58 million, based on goals and achievements. So he's done well so far this season. I think McTominay's done really, really well so far this season. I've been really, really impressed there with McTominay. Don't get me wrong, I've got got quite a lot of element of concerns about McTominay. Now, like I said, I don't know if he's the long-term solution for Man United. I don't know if he can keep the consistency up, so there's question marks regarding that. But so far, so good for McTominay. And he did well towards the back end of last season, did Scott McTominay. But so far this season, McTominay has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba. And to be fair, they have blended in, very, very well together. And I've got the thoughts I've got about McTominay, I've got the same thoughts about, Fred and Pereira. I don't know if they're the long-term solutions for Man United. We have seen glimpses of how good they can be. My overarching view on Fred is that, he hasn't not performed nowhere near to the level, as how he performed at Shakhtar Donetsk, because Fred was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. He hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. Don't forget, we paid just under £50 million for Fred last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk, so he's on that list of one of our most expensive signings. And like I said, anyway, we've got a history of spending big on players. We've got a history of overpaying for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, that's bad business in the football club, and that's one of our problems. And we've done it a couple of times this summer. We let Ander Herrera go on a free transfer, and you could arguably say Ander Herrera was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. We paid, was it, just under £30 million for him from Bilbao back in 2014. He had 5 good years with Man United, Ander Herrera. He had some rough patches like you usually do, but prior to that, I thought he was very, very consistent for the club. And then we let him go on a free transfer earlier on in the summer, so that was bad business in the football club. Same with Matteo Darmian. We did cash in for him, but we lost out on around £9.1 million because we paid £12.7 million for him from Torino about 4 years ago. Darmian had 4 years with the football club. Then we let him go for just over £3 million the other week to Parma. So that's again, we basically let him go for next to nothing. So really, Manchester United, shouldn't be doing that. Manchester United, shouldn't be doing that. And Manchester United definitely should not be doing that, but that's just the way it is, to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, we've in the January transfer window, we've definitely got to get a replacement, for Ander Herrera in that midfield, and perhaps Marina Fellaini. But I've got a lot of element of concerns about that midfield, so it does need to be addressed. Obviously, we've got concerns regarding 5 players. We've got concerns regarding their fitness and that. Obviously, we've got quite a few players out with injury, and obviously, it is Leicester at Old Trafford this weekend. Which is going to be a tough encounter. Obviously, like I said, Wan-Bissaka withdrew from the England squad the other week after he sustained a back injury. Like I said, hopefully his injury is not too severe. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka is our first choice right back. If he isn't to play against Leicester, we'll probably put Young at right back, maybe Diego Dalot at right back. We know Diego Dalot was injured before the international break, but I think he's going to be okay for the game against Leicester. But one of them will play at right back, if Wan-Bissaka, cannot play, I should presume. But I'm hopefully he can play. I don't think he will be though, in my opinion. Luke Shaw's obviously out with a hamstring injury. He's another one of the players that's injured. He sustained his hamstring injury in the 2-1 defeat against Crystal Palace. Luke Shaw's a very, very reliable player. I think for the majority of his Man United career, I think he's been mainly consistent. He's had some rough patches, he had a bad spell under Mourinho. He's sustained quite a few injuries as a Man United player, but I think he sustained a few injuries, when he was at Southampton when he was younger. Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. And we do know the difference he makes on that left-hand side, when he plays well, Luke Shaw. But I can't see him regaining full fitness for the game against Leicester this weekend. Obviously, like I said, Eric Bailly's a long-term absence. Fosu Mensah's a long-term absence. They're both out with injury. Obviously, Jesse Lingard's recently had an illness. I think he should be okay for the game against Leicester at the weekend. There's still element of concerns regarding that. Lingard may not be able to play against Leicester at the weekend, but he has recently been ill, so he had to withdraw from the England squad quite recently. Like I said, with Paul Pogba, he had to obviously withdraw from the France squad the other week after the ankle injury he had sustained in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. So, like I said, hopefully his injury is not too severe, because we haven't really got a backup to Paul Pogba. Like I said, Martial's out with a thigh injury. Also, Lee Grant is out with injury. So we have got quite a few players out with injury, but we could be without this weekend 5 players with injury. So they're not. So Martial, Pogba, Martial, Pogba, Lingard, Luke Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka, could all be out, this weekend against Leicester. So obviously, if that is to be the case, then obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to need to rotate the squad anywhere. But like I did say to you on my video yesterday, who will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sign in January? That is the question, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has blatantly made it clear he wants to make a further more investment in January, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware that further more investment is needed in the squad. I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will want to continue the pursuit of young upcoming players, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer worked out his transfer strategy early on in the summer, and he did initially say he wanted to recommend a number of young players into the football club that can grow, develop and that. And, he did recommend, 3 young players in throughout the course of some. Well, we know Harry Maguire's, a bit older. He's 26. He's older than Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James, obviously. But obviously Harry Maguire's more experienced. But I do believe he'll still want to continue signing young. He'll still want to continue signing, young homegrown players, Will Solskjaer. But I think, anyway, regardless of what happens this season, I think, the board have come to terms, the board have come to terms that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. They didn't back him enough. So I think regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job should be safe for them at least this season. But I do believe that the board have assured that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will be back in January or perhaps next summer, which is very, very good. But I'm hopeful that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anywhere can stay at Manchester United. But like I said, Solskjaer hasn't really got the experience of a manager, and that's another element of concern I've got about him. He hasn't really got the experience of a manager to the highest level. He has got a bit of experience as a manager. Don't get me wrong. He did well in that 3-month period. When he was the interim manager at the club last season, the results were good, the performances were good. He exceeded expectation levels. But since he got the job back in March, earlier on this year, Solskjaer, since he got the job permanently, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, basically. And I don't really know why, to be quite honest with you. Don't forget, before we actually, recommended Solskjaer, we was in search for, we had a few, managers, linked with a managerial role at Man United. There was talks of Pochettino coming in. At one point, there was talks of Zinedine Zidane coming in and that. And I know, Pochettino's more experienced there than Solskjaer. Solskjaer's won more, obviously, because Pochettino, hasn't won out yet as manager. So in that aspect, he hasn't got that proven pedigree, Pochettino, of, winning any silverware. But he's done really, really well in the Premier League. He's now into his 6th season as manager of Tottenham, is Pochettino. But I did say anywhere earlier on in the summer that, and I said even before Solskjaer came in, Pochettino, has got no intentions of basically, leaving Tottenham. In fact, Pochettino did say, though, I think this was prior to the Champions League final last season, that, if he wasn't backed enough this summer, he did threaten to resign as Tottenham manager. I think he made this clear to Daniel Levy. But Tottenham, did get quite a few players in, that they wanted. So I think, anyway, Pochettino remains happy with Tottenham. But the time we was in for him and that, I think, we'd have had to pay around a commission of around 35 or 40 million pounds anywhere, to recommend him in to the football club and that. And I think, the only way Pochettino or Zinedine Zidane would have took the job at Man United at the time was obviously, if we was willing to give them a substantial amount to spend on top players, and that's the only way I think that they'd come in. But we just went with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, based on that, he knows the traditions of the club. Obviously, it was also a cheaper solution. We only paid a couple of million to get him in as interim to mould, and then we obviously paid a further £7 or £8 million, to mould, to obviously, getting Solskjaer permanently and that. So obviously, it was a cheaper solution and that. But obviously, Pochettino doesn't know the club, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does. But if Solskjaer is to be sacked by the football club, will we go back in for Pochettino? Will we go in for Zinedine Zidane and that? Who would you recommend in at Man United? If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be sacked? Because I think if we're not competing for the top 4 by the January transfer window, then possibly Solskjaer could be sacked. Or if not, the pressure will keep mounting up on him. But don't forget, like I said, reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, we didn't win out in our first 4 years under the Alex Ferguson era when we appointed him in from Aberdeen back in 1995, 1986. But he was basically one game from getting the sack. But obviously it didn't happen. And look what he achieved, the success we achieved then. So we had 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson. And regardless of who our manager is, even if we had now a manager to the highest level, would never replicate what we did under Ferguson. No one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, and that's obviously something we've got to accept in that. But with obviously, like I said, with how big this club is, we shouldn't be in this position winning. We should be in much more of a commanding position than that. And this is the concerns I've got. This is the concerns I've got on that, so you can understand a lot of Man United's fans' frustration and that. But like I did say, we have got quite a few injuries. I recently, obviously, give you the news in regards to the new director of football at Manchester United. Now, I think it's very imperative anyway that the club get a new director of footballing, because don't forget, throughout the course of summer, wanted to recommend a director of footballing, and don't forget, we've been looking to get a director of footballing now for over a year. Obviously, throughout the course of the summer and earlier on in the summer, reportedly, Darren Fletcher, Rio Ferdinand, and Cheese Every were linked with that director's role at Manchester United, and I think Ed Woodward had spoken with all them players, about roles at the football club and that. And I think also Paul Mitchell was linked with the director's role earlier on in the summer. But I did say anyway we need a director of footballing, because obviously we need a structural change in that at the club. And I do believe if we'd got a director of footballing earlier on in the summer, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been backed more. So I was disappointed in that aspect. But now reportedly Ed Woodward has confirmed that he's looking to appoint a new director of footballing at Manchester United, and he's identified as you all know, Edwin van der Sar as his number one target to become the new director of football at Manchester United, because obviously I think Ed Woodward's mainly going on the experience, because obviously Edwin van der Sar has got that experience. Obviously he's CEO at Ajax, he's been the CEO at Ajax since 2016 and that, and I think his work at Ajax has been very, very good, and I think Man United and Ed Woodward are very, very proud with his work. Maybe Edwin van der Sar would be willing to return to the football club as a new director. Don't forget, Edwin van der Sar knows the traditions of the football club and that. Don't forget, Van der Sar served 6 years at Manchester United, when he was a lot younger. Joined the club in 2005 and obviously left in 2011, but won 2 Premier League titles with the club, 4, 2, I think he won that. I think he didn't win about 3 or 4 Community Shields. I know he won 2 Premier League titles. He also won the Champions League with the club. So he did really, really well. Did Edwin van der Sar. But yeah, if we are to get a director of footballing, reportedly, Ed Woodward has identified, Edwin van der Sar as his number one target in that. But we didn't get a director of footballing early on in the summer, so basically, we'll just let Ed Woodward, obviously our transfer business for towards the back end of the window and that. But I did say, the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer. I probably believe, we will reignite our interest in them in January. Maybe I think we'll definitely go back in for Bruno Fernandes in January. Obviously, he was one of our main priority targets throughout the course of the summer. I know there was rumours going on quite recently, well, just before the window shut, I think, saying that, Bruno Fernandes was set to join Real Madrid for around £64 million. Obviously, it didn't happen. But Bruno Fernandes, I think, will leave Sporting Lisbon in January. But we had our chance, with Bruno Fernandes, and I'm disappointed that we didn't get him in, because he would have improved our midfield. He made a massive impact in our midfield, and I think I would have been excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield, because I think they would have complemented each other fantastically well. Don't forget, went in for Christian Eriksen towards the back end of the window. We was only tentatively linked with Eriksen. He wasn't one of our main priority targets. Obviously, we went in for Dybala, Mandzukic. Went in for Mandzukic towards the end of the window, despite the fact that he's had a good career, Mandzukic, and that, I think the board anyway had reservations about bringing him into the football club, because obviously, he's now 33 years of age. Obviously, in regards to Jadon Sancho, we could go in for him in January, but I probably believe we'll leave it till next summer, because I think Jadon Sancho had confirmed before that, he's going to be staying at Borussia Dortmund for this season, so he's going to have another full season there with Dortmund. But I think he's set to leave Borussia Dortmund next summer. Is Jadon Sancho? I think we'll probably go in for him next summer. Don't forget, we was in for Jadon Sancho earlier on in the summer. There was a lot of talks about him possibly coming to United. Don't forget, we identified him as our number one priority target back in January. But I did say, we missed out on Jadon Sancho, because obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say in that aspect that, certain players at a certain calibre and level, would have had reservations about joining the football club anywhere. But Jadon Sancho, like I said, I would be excited about the prospects of Jadon Sancho, playing alongside the likes of Rashford, Martial, Daniel James, in our attacking line. And Jadon Sancho is primarily a right winger. Or he can play centrally, but he's primarily a right winger. I'd love him at Man United. He's fast. He's skillful. He can score goals. He can provide assists, and he's only 19 years of age, and plus he's British, so he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly. Anyway, we are aware if we reignite our interest in him in January or next summer, it's going to cost us a substantial amount. We'll probably have to pay around in the excess of £100 million to get him, but we have got the financial power anywhere to meet that valuation. Jadon Sancho is under contract with Dortmund until 2022. Don't forget, he's had 2 good years with Borussia Dortmund. I think he's made like 60 odd first team appearances. Obviously now he's into his 3rd season as a Borussia Dortmund player. But the beneficial thing is also that he's had experience of playing in the Premier League, because don't forget, he served a couple of years with Manchester City before and went to Borussia Dortmund, but never really got assured first team football at Man City, and that this is the main factor reason why he left Manchester City to go to Dortmund. Obviously, before he was at City, he actually began his career with Watford, did Jadon Sancho. I think he was in their youth academy, for quite some time. But yeah, I think he could possibly, be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's next signing, could Jadon Sancho, but he would make a huge difference in the team. He would make a huge difference in the team. But like I said, I said to we in January, further more investment is needed, and perhaps next summer. So we still need to focus on the incomings more, but I still believe we need to focus more on the outgoings. Despite the fact since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, quite a lot of players now have left the football club. Obviously, Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Chris Smalling leave the football club on loan. He's gone to Roma on loan. Despite the fact though of Chris Smalling going out on loan to Roma, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Darmian left, Ander Herrera, Fellaini left. Ander Herrera left early on in the summer, Fellaini left in January, Lukaku left quite a few weeks ago now, and Sanchez, of course, went out Milan. So quite a few players now have departed the football club since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, but now as we speak, I do believe that there is still problematic players at the football club that do need to leave in January or perhaps next summer. In regards to Ashley Young, I think this is probably his last season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, Young's been at the football club now 8 years. This is now his 9th season at Manchester United. He has made over 300 odd appearances for the club in all competitions as Ashley Young. Don't forget, the club gave him a new 1-year extension last season. But for me, I think he could retire from football at the end of this season, or probably leave Manchester United, obviously reflecting on his age, because Young now is 34 years of age. I think when he was younger, he was primarily a right winger, so in that aspect, he's comparable to Wan-Bissaka, because Wan-Bissaka was primarily a right winger, when he was younger. But obviously, Ashley Young, he's not our first choice right back. He was last season before the arrival of Wan-Bissaka, but obviously now he's no longer our first choice right back. But Young is predominantly a right back, but he can play in other positions. He can play on the left hand side like he did against Southampton. He was captain in the team, and he can also play as a right winger. But he should make his retirement or leave the club at the end of this season. Obviously, in regards to Phil Jones, he's been here now 8 years. This is now his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Phil Jones, we have seen glimpses of how good he can be, over the years, and that he's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. But he's no longer, good enough for the football club, and obviously he's fallen down the pecking order. Obviously with the arrival of Harry Maguire, so he's going to find game time very, very difficult anyway. So I think we need to consider moving him on in January or next summer. Like I said, in regards to Eric Bailly, I think Eric Bailly is a very imperative player, and I think we have seen glimpses of how good he can be and that. But I think again, his Manchester United career has been mainly affected with the amount of injuries he has sustained. Phil Jones, Eric Bailly, and I think we would be open to selling him in January or next summer. I think Arsenal inquired about getting Bailly early on in the summer, and that I think we would look to at least recoup the £30 million that we did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016 and that. But I think even despite the fact that he's good, I think based on his injuries, and not on his injuries, with his fallout under managers, I think, Man United, would be open to selling Eric Bailly. But we have still got quite a lot of centre-backs in the team. Nemanja Matic, again, he's another problematic player. I think he's very, very inconsistent. When he plays in that midfield, he makes the midfield look totally imbalanced. He's too static, and, he's not getting any younger. He's aging up now, is Matic. So I think it was a mistake from the club buying him in the first place, because at the time we got him, He wasn't our first choice. I think he was like our third choice signing there was Matic. So he's another inconsistent player. So I still believe there is now players, that do, need to leave the football club, even despite the fact that a lot have left, now since Ole Gunnar's Solskjaer's rival. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, and obviously recently, give you the news in regards to David De Gea. The Guardian came out a couple of days ago, and they said, that David De Gea is close to signing a new contract with Man United. Now, the Guardian didn't mention what length, what length, he would be signing, how long, the contract, will be. It didn't mention that. It just says, he's close to signing a new contract. It said reportedly he's close to agreeing a £290,000 a week deal, which means it'd put, David De Gea on the same basic wage as Paul Pogba, because Paul Pogba's on around, 290 grand a week. But, again, there has been a change of scenery. Because obviously, quite recently, he actually said, that David De Gea was on the verge of rejecting the contract offer, and he actually said he told his friends he will snub any offer from Manchester United, and he actually said, we could be at risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer at the end of the season, because we do know David De Gea's current contract expires at the end of the season, and on his current deal at the moment, David De Gea he's still on a substantial amount, he's on around 200 grand a week, so if he is to sign this new deal, reportedly, he will get around a £90,000 pay rise. But we've been in negotiations of getting David De Gea a new contract now for the last at least for the last 18 or 19 months. Obviously we haven't succeeded in contract negotiations, but it was looking very, very imminent, throughout pre-season, the start of pre-season, that David De Gea was going to be signing a new long-term contract with Man United. Throughout pre-season it did say David De Gea was going to sign a 6-year contract worth up to around 375 grand a week, and but obviously it didn't materialise. But for a large period of the negotiations we've been in with of getting David De Gea a new contract, David De Gea has been looking for around 350 grand a week. Obviously that figure would make him the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, making the highest paid in the history of the football club, and obviously for large periods he was not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demand. I think at the turn of the year we offered David De Gea 300 grand a week. Obviously it wasn't enough, and then because we was around £50,000 below his valuation, £50,000 below his demands, and yes, and then obviously we just decided then to reportedly meet his £350,000 a week wage demands, and it was looking very imminent then he was going to be signing a new contract. So I don't know, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, Juventus are reportedly, ready to move for David De Gea, reportedly. I think, if we can't get David De Gea a new contract, we've got to cash in for him in January. We can't let him go on a free transfer at the end of the season. I know at full value, we know that, he's worth up to £100 million, but we won't get £100 million for him. He's got under a year left on his contract, and his performances have recently been below par. He's made costly mistakes so far this season. One of them costly mistakes came against Crystal Palace. Obviously, he was making mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I did say that was mainly to do with the contractual situation. But I do believe David De Gea has had 7.5 good years at Man United. He's been here 8 years. This is now his 9th season at Man United, but he's had 7.5 good years at the football club. We do know PSG were in for him earlier on in the summer. They were actually regarded as the favourites to get him. They were the favourites to get him. Real Madrid have been long admirers of David De Gea, don't forget. But like I said, I think it's very imperative that we keep him at the football club. David De Gea, has made over 300 other appearances for Man United in all competitions. He's won everything here domestically, and he's won the club's player of the year 4 times out of the 6 seasons, since reflecting on his impressive performances. And David De Gea is 28 years of age, and he's still got a lot of development in him. But so far, I do admire his Manchester United career and that. But he has done really, really well. And I think anyway, if we're not, there's no improvements this season, we're not competing for the top 4 by January, David De Gea will want out of the football club anywhere. But like I did say, if David De Gea is to leave the football club, we are going to definitely need a replacement for him. And I think we have got a couple of goalkeepers on our agenda, who could replace him. Like I said, Jan Blanc, has been mentioned. I think we've identified him as our number 1 target to replace him. Don't forget there was talks about, us being in for Jan Blanc earlier on in the summer. Obviously, he's going to cost us probably around 80-90 million pounds, because I think his buyout clause must be around 88 million pounds, something like that. I think it's 100 million euros, which does equate to around 88 million in pounds sterling or something like that. Don't forget Jan Blanc only extended his contract back in April this year. And I think he also got a pay rise in his buyout clause, when he did extend his contract. But Jan Blanc is regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's not on the same level or calibre as De Gea, but still regarded as one of the best in the world. And I think it also said we was interested in, the Dynamo Zagreb keeper, Dominic Livitic. He was also mentioned. So we've instructed scouts reportedly to keep a closer eye out on them. But if we can't get David De Gea a new contract, I think we're convinced, that we can still maybe cash in around £30 million for him in January. But like I said, look at our other goalkeepers we've got. We've got Sergio Romero, he's obviously our second choice keeper. He's not reliable enough, to come our number one goalkeeper. Obviously, his performances in the FA Cup were good last season, Romero, so I'll credit him in that aspect. But he's not reliable enough, to come our number one goalkeeper. Romero's got like 2 years left on his deal with Man United, I think, is it? Or 1 year. I think he's under contract with the club until 2021 with an option to extend it back for a further 12 months. Lee Grant's injured. Obviously, Joe Perry's gone out on loan in Scotland, to Hearts, and obviously Dean Enson's gone back out on loan to Sheffield United, and I think that's good that he's gone back out on loan, because I think in that aspect, he will gain more experience with Dean Enson, because Dean Enson is only very, very young. Yeah. But like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding. He's still in the process of rebuilding, because like I said, Solskjaer's inheriting players even the Jose Mourinho era. He's still inheriting 9 of Jose Mourinho's players, because a couple of Jose Mourinho's players have now left. He's still inheriting players even the Van Gaal era, even though the vast majority of the players now of the Van Gaal era have left. And he's still inheriting Juan Mata from the David Moyes era, and there's still players even the Alex Ferguson era, of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting. So, yes, he does need a bit more time, let's be honest. But a lot of money's been spent at the football club in the last 6 years. I think if my calculation is right, I think it's nearly around £900 million, we spent in the last 6 years on players. So a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club. Like I said, I've also been frustrated with the lack of silverware in the last 6 years or so. Didn't win out under the David Moyes era. We only managed to win the FA Cup back in 2016 under Louis Van Gaal era, and won the Europa League and League Cup under the Jose Mourinho era. Obviously, that came in Jose Mourinho's first season. But yeah, so the main part of this video, was to give you the latest news in regards to Paul Pogba, and also give you the rest of the other latest news. And like I did say, Man United Leicester preview probably will be coming up tomorrow on Friday. I think it is this Saturday, the Leicester game. Give you the team news and that, and and everything else. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.